were you when you first heard the news, and how did it affect you personally?
I was a boarding school boy. I was in school. It affected me on a personal level just because he was a handsome man, elegant man. I loved his youth and vigor. But politically, believe it or not, I was conservative at that time. My father had raised me that way. And I was Republican, Eisenhower man, so I had disapproved of Kennedy's liberal policies. Since then, of course, I've come completely about face, but I started conservative.
Before the film came out, there was a perception of what had happened. You know, people sort of took that at face value. You changed that. How do you think perception has changed since your film?
I can only speak for myself. I think I took at face value the official story. When I read Jim Garrison's tale of his involvement, it was stunning, suspenseful. But I researched it outside that book, and I talked to the whole community, and I found that there was a wealth of literature about this. I had not seen that, but it opened my eyes. The illogicity of the Warren Commission was clear. The impossibility of having one gunman doing that kind of shooting was cried out for outrage, and there had been significant outrage. And by the way, the polls were definitely suspicious of the Warren Commission. So were the main people. 4 of the members of the Warren Commission raised doubts because they were shepherded. They were moved around by Allen Dulles, who's in charge of the whole thing. He was the guy Kennedy fired from the CIA. He ran the investigation. It's like asking the fox to investigate what happened in the chicken coop. It doesn't make sense, but that's what happened. But the film raised a lot of hackles, as you know, and it changed my life. I went from being a Vietnam War director to being a controversial figure forever. And I would never be able to make another movie again, ever. Even a crime movie like Savages or Any Given Sunday about football without having something questioned about my makeup. It was frustrating.
Well, the JFK Records Act, was enacted right after your film, and I would say a direct influence of your film. Do you feel vindicated to a certain extent by some
Well, the
of
Records Review Board work is interesting. They looked at some 4 million pages, and not everything, by the way. Quite a bit of stuff is still out there. And a lot of stuff they found out was destroyed before they went to investigation by the Secret Service. In the 1990s, the Secret Service's job that day was shoddy, unbelievable. But no, the Records Review Board, if anything, widened the loopholes for me. They raised numerous questions and gave us accidental insights. There's a whole community devoted to that. Doug Horn has published 5 volumes on their work, and it should be taken seriously. There are many questions. Be serious about it. If you're a student, don't just go with opinion. Look for yourself and look at these books. Read. Think for yourself. But we actually went into the actual history of Kennedy in our latest documentary, Untold History of the United States. We looked at Kennedy a second time, and we come up with even more favorable remarks than we made in the film. In other words, we really studied the Cold War. We studied from 1940s up to today, and we find that Kennedy is one of the great presidents.
50 years has gone by. Is this conspiracy still necessary? I mean, is the old guard still around to protect this, or is it time to reveal the answers?
Well, I don't know that that's going to be possible, sir. I have some ideas who did it, but I don't think anyone's going to admit to anything. I think that most of the serious people are dead. And, you should look at the bigger story. The bigger picture is Kennedy was a man who was seeking peace with the Soviet Union. He was seeking to disengage in Vietnam. He was seeking a rapprochement. He had a limited nuclear ban treaty with the Soviet Union. He had the space race was called off. A lot of things were going on in the last year of his presidency. And if you look at Lyndon Johnson, within a year, everything was back to normal, the old way, the Eisenhower way, the Truman way. So, you have to look at this as a bump. The Kennedy thing was a significant setback for the forces of peace. And again in our history, we find those presidents that wanted looking for peace, looking for a way out, were stymied. Carter, Clinton, Obama to some degree.